Iran just lost control of over 120 kilometers of its most sensitive western border corridor. Not contested, not monitored, lost. In the span of less than 72 hours, multiple intelligence sources confirmed unidentified teams operating inside Iranian territory, moving with precision, extracting targets, and disappearing without resistance. This was not a conventional incursion. This was something far more calculated. By the time we are done, you will understand why this development is not just about a border breach, but about a fundamental shift in how power is projected inside one of the most tightly controlled security environments in the world. Welcome to States News. If this is your first time here, subscribe and turn on notifications because today's analysis breaks down one of the most sensitive and underreported developments unfolding in the Middle East right now, combining military intelligence, special operations doctrine, and geopolitical strategy to give you a complete picture of what is actually happening beyond the headlines. This video will show you exactly how Iran's border security architecture failed, what kind of U.S. special operations capabilities could operate undetected inside such a heavily monitored region, and why this incident signals something much larger than a single covert mission. We will examine the terrain, the surveillance systems, the likely insertion methods, and the strategic objectives behind such an operation. By the end, you will understand why this is not just a tactical embarrassment for Tehran, but a potential turning point in how external forces engage with Iran's internal security perimeter. To understand why this matters, you need to start with geography. Iran's western border, particularly along the Iraqi frontier, stretches across approximately 1,600 kilometers of complex terrain. This is not a flat, easily monitored line. It is a mix of mountainous regions, valleys, and semi-urban corridors, especially in provinces like Kermanshah and Elam. These areas have historically been both strategic buffers and vulnerability points. For decades, Iran has invested heavily in securing this border. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, specifically its Ground Forces Division, maintains layered defense systems across key infiltration routes. These include thermal imaging towers, radar systems, and mobile patrol units equipped with night vision capabilities. In high-risk zones, Iran has deployed domestically produced surveillance drones such as the Mohajer 6, capable of persistent aerial monitoring with a range exceeding 200 kilometers. But here is the critical detail. Much of this infrastructure is designed to detect conventional threats: smugglers, insurgent groups, cross-border militias, not elite special operations units trained in low-visibility infiltration. The actors involved here matter just as much as the terrain. On one side, you have Iran's IRGC, a force of roughly 190,000 personnel with significant experience in asymmetric warfare. They are highly effective when operating in proxy environments, from Syria to Iraq to Yemen. But defensive counter-infiltration against Tier 1 special forces is a different challenge entirely. On the other side, you are potentially looking at U.S. special operations units such as Delta Force, officially known as 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, or elements of DevGRU, also known as SEAL Team 6. These units specialize in deep penetration missions, often operating in denied environments with minimal support. Their training includes high-altitude, low-opening parachute insertions, advanced electronic warfare capabilities, and precision targeting under complete radio silence. Now consider the baseline facts. Iran's border security assumes that any intrusion will trigger layered detection. First, ground sensors, then aerial surveillance, then rapid response units. The system is designed to create overlapping coverage zones. But if even one layer is compromised or bypassed, the entire structure begins to unravel. And that brings us to what actually happened. The first indications came from regional monitoring stations detecting anomalous movement patterns along a 40-kilometer stretch near the Iraq-Iran border. These were not large troop movements. They were small, coordinated signatures. Heat profiles consistent with human presence, but moving in irregular intervals designed to avoid pattern recognition algorithms. This is where it gets interesting. Layer 1, the infiltration itself. Based on available data, the most likely insertion method was a nighttime high-altitude, low-opening jump, commonly referred to as halo insertion. This allows operatives to deploy from altitudes above 25,000 feet, reducing radar detection probability, and glide significant distances before landing. Combined with terrain masking, this makes initial detection extremely difficult. Tactically, this means the teams were on the ground without triggering early warning systems. No helicopters, no vehicles, just silence. Strategically, it means Iran's air defense radar network, which includes systems like the Bavar 373, either failed to detect or chose not to engage the insertion platform. That alone raises serious questions about coverage gaps. Now Layer 2, movement inside Iranian territory. Once on the ground, these teams would have relied on a combination of satellite navigation, pre-mapped terrain data, and possibly local intelligence assets. Movement would occur primarily at night, with daytime concealment in terrain features such as ridgelines or abandoned structures. The key here is discipline. No unnecessary communication, no electronic emissions that could be intercepted, every movement calculated. The tactical significance is clear. These teams were able to traverse multiple kilometers inside Iranian territory without detection. The strategic implication is even more significant. It demonstrates that Iran's internal monitoring systems, including signals intelligence and drone patrols, can be bypassed by sufficiently advanced operators. Now, Layer 3. The objective. While official confirmation is absent, multiple sources suggest that the operation involved reconnaissance and potential target marking. This could include identifying missile storage facilities, command nodes, or logistical hubs. Think about what that means. If targets were marked using laser designators or GPS tagging, it creates the possibility for follow-on strikes, airstrikes, drone strikes, even cyber operations coordinated with physical targeting data. Second-order effects begin to emerge here. Iran now has to assume that any critical infrastructure within range of that infiltration corridor may have been compromised. That forces a massive reallocation of security resources. Layer 4. Extraction. Getting in is difficult. Getting out is often harder. The same methods used for insertion may not be viable for extraction due to increased alert levels. This suggests either overland exfiltration back into Iraq or coordinated pickup using stealth helicopters, such as the MH-60 Black Hawk variants used by U.S. Special Operations. The fact that no confirmed engagements occurred indicates a clean extraction. That is not just success. That is dominance at the tactical level. Now step back and look at the broader picture. This is not just about one operation. This is about demonstrating capability. The ability to enter, operate, and exit Iranian territory without detection sends a message, not just to Tehran, but to every actor in the region. It tells allies that the United States retains unmatched special operations reach. It tells adversaries that geographic depth is no longer a guarantee of security. But there is another layer to this: information warfare. Iran has publicly downplayed the incident, framing it as routine border activity. But internal communications, according to leaked reports, indicate heightened alert levels across multiple provinces. This creates a contradiction: public calm, private concern. And that gap matters. It affects internal confidence, military morale, and strategic decision-making. Now consider the timing. This operation occurs amid rising tensions in the region, increased proxy activity, and ongoing disputes over nuclear capabilities. That context transforms a tactical operation into a strategic signal. It raises a question: was this reconnaissance for a future operation? Or was it the operation itself, designed purely to demonstrate vulnerability? There are alternative perspectives worth considering. Some analysts argue that the reports may be exaggerated, possibly originating from regional intelligence leaks intended to pressure Iran diplomatically. Others suggest that non-U.S. actors, potentially regional special forces units, could be responsible. There are also limitations in the available data. Satellite imagery provides partial confirmation. Signals intelligence offers clues. But without official acknowledgement, uncertainty remains. And that uncertainty is part of the story. Because in modern warfare, perception can be as powerful as reality. Iran must now operate under the assumption that its borders are penetrable. That changes behavior. It changes deployment patterns. It forces defensive postures that consume resources and limit offensive flexibility. At the same time, the United States, if involved, achieves multiple objectives without a single public statement. Intelligence gathering, psychological pressure, strategic signaling. This is the essence of modern special operations. Effects without visibility. So where does this go next? In the short term, expect increased Iranian patrols, expanded drone surveillance, and potential redeployment of IRGC units to border regions. There may also be internal investigations, purges, or restructuring within security forces. In the medium term, this could accelerate Iran's investment in counter-infiltration technologies, advanced radar systems, AI-driven surveillance, enhanced electronic warfare capabilities. But the fundamental challenge remains. Technology can detect patterns. It struggles with unpredictability. And that is exactly what elite special operations units are trained to exploit. Looking forward, the implications extend beyond Iran. Other states in the region are watching closely. They are assessing their own vulnerabilities, reevaluating their defenses. Because if it can happen there, it can happen elsewhere. See, this is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new phase in how covert power is projected and perceived. And as these developments continue to unfold, States News will be here to break down not just what is happening, but what it actually means.